Life hurts. We all feel it. Breakups, illness, loss, loneliness, even death. And here's Buddha saying, hey, guess what? Life is suffering. Thanks, Buddha. Real uplifting message there. But wait, if that's true, what's the point of all this? Why even try? Why get out of bed in the morning? If we're trapped in an endless cycle of rebirth and suffering, what's the purpose of existence? That's the question that kept me awake at 3 a.m., and I'm betting it's crossed your mind too. Hey everyone, Matt here from Buddha's Wisdom. Some of you might remember our video about the meaning of life, where we explored the big picture of meaning through Buddhism's lens. But today, we're going deeper. Today is different. Today, I want to explore this question honestly, because I struggled with it for years. When I finally understood what Buddha was really saying about life's meaning, it wasn't what I expected, but it changed how I see everything. The meaning of life, according to Buddhism, isn't some secret formula or distant goal. It's something both simpler and more eye-opening than most of us realize. And I think you'll be surprised by what it reveals about your own life. The happiness trap. Let's start with a question. When was the last time you thought, I'll be happy when I get that promotion? When I find the right relationship? When I finally lose those 15 pounds? When I have enough money? I used to do this all the time. One day I caught myself thinking, I'll be happy when I understand Buddhism better. And then I realized the irony. I was using Buddha's teachings as another happiness trap. Here's what most people get wrong about Buddha's first noble truth. When he said, life is suffering, he wasn't being a downer. The Pali word dukkha doesn't just mean suffering. It means unsatisfactoriness, that feeling that something's always a little off. Remember last month when you finally got that thing you wanted so badly? That iPhone with the killer camera? That date with the person whose Instagram you've been stalking? That job offer with the fancy title? How long did that happiness last? Before you started wanting something else, 3 days, a week, until the next iOS update or LinkedIn notification? Exactly. I had this brutal realization a few years ago after a breakup. I was devastated, lying on my apartment floor at night, crying into a cold pepperoni pizza, scrolling through our vacation photos, wondering how I'd ever feel okay again. Classic rock bottom, right? But in that moment, something clicked. I realized I'd been treating happiness like some destination I'd eventually reach if I just checked enough boxes on life's scavenger hunt. Buddha saw this trap 2,500 years ago. We're wired to want things, get them, and then immediately want more. It's like we're hamsters on a wheel, running and running but never getting anywhere. The happiness trap keeps us stuck in this cycle. Always chasing but never arriving. So if life is just an endless series of desires that never fully satisfy us, what's the point? Why keep running on the wheel? That's where many people walk away from Buddhist teachings. They think, well, if everything leads to suffering, then nothing matters. But that's where they're wrong, and where things get really interesting. The happiness trap isn't just about chasing pleasure. It's about misunderstanding what makes life meaningful in the first place. And the path out of this trap leads us to another bizarre paradox of Buddhism that most people completely miss. The impossible game. Have you ever played a video game that's impossible to win? That's what seeking enlightenment can feel like sometimes. When I first got into Buddhism, I had this image in my head. Me, sitting cross-legged on a mountain, perfectly serene, problems just bouncing off my enlightened force field. I'd finally made it. But after years of practice and study, I realized something uncomfortable. I was playing an impossible game. Let me explain. In our video 8 Steps to Nirvana to Reach Peace, we talked about the Noble Eightfold Path, Buddha's roadmap to enlightenment. But there's something I didn't fully explain then. These 8 steps. They're not like a checklist you complete once and then you're done. They're not even like stairs you climb to reach the top. They're more like instruments in an orchestra. You need to keep playing simultaneously, forever. I remember the day this hit me. I was at a silent meditation retreat, feeling pretty good about my practice. 3 whole days without checking Twitter. Practically a bodhisattva, right? Then I lost my phone. Within seconds, I went from spiritual practitioner to frantic guy, turning over every cushion in the meditation hall and accusing the monk in the corner of theft. My Zen face replaced by panic, sweating. So much for my progress, right? My teacher just laughed when I confessed how upset I'd gotten. He said, "Did you think enlightenment meant never feeling frustrated again? That's not freedom. That's emotional numbness." He shared a quote from Zen master Shunryu Suzuki. "Not the enlightened self, not the perfect self, just yourself, right now." This was a total game changer for me. I'd been striving for this perfect end state, this graduation day when I'd finally get it and be done. But that's not how it works. The Buddha himself said, "The way is not in the sky, the way is in the heart." He wasn't talking about some distant destination. He was talking about how we meet this moment, right here. So if enlightenment isn't a finish line, if nirvana isn't some trophy we eventually earn, what's the point of all this effort? Why meditate? Why practice? Why try to live ethically if we're never done? The answer completely changed my understanding of what Buddhism is actually about. Buddha's secret weapon. So if we can't escape suffering completely, and enlightenment isn't some medal we earn, what exactly is the point? This was the question that kept me up at night, and the answer I found changed everything. Buddhism has a secret weapon that transforms how we experience suffering. It's not meditation, though that helps. It's not detachment, though that's part of it. It's something much simpler and more powerful. Compassion. I used to think compassion was just being nice to people, hold doors open, donate to charity, basic good person stuff. But Buddhist compassion, what they call karuna, goes way deeper. Let me get personal for a minute. Last year, my mum got sick. Really sick. I moved back home to help care for her, feeding her soup she could barely swallow, helping her to the bathroom at 3 a.m., watching her hands tremble as she tried to hold a glass of water, the antiseptic smell of the house, the constant beeping of medication reminders, the hushed phone calls with doctors. It was brutal. There was so much suffering, hers and mine. One night, exhausted and feeling sorry for myself, I remembered something from the Dalai Lama. It sounded nice, but honestly, in that moment, it felt like some greeting card nonsense. How would compassion help either of us? But I tried something. Instead of seeing my mum's situation as this horrible thing happening to both of us, I started seeing it as an opportunity to express love. The same tasks, helping her eat, helping her walk, but with a different intention. Everything looked different. The suffering didn't disappear. My back still ached from lifting her. I still woke up exhausted. She still had bad days. But it had meaning now. It wasn't pointless pain. It was love made visible. Those moments, holding her hand while she slept, weren't just duties to endure. They became the most important meditation I'd ever practiced. Buddha understood something fundamental about human psychology. When we focus only on our own happiness, life can feel empty and pointless. But when we connect with others, when we make alleviating suffering our purpose, meaning appears naturally. Buddha taught that our purpose emerges naturally when we align our actions with compassion and mindfulness. For many of us, this purpose reveals itself through connecting with others and alleviating suffering where we can. But here's where we often go wrong. Especially in the West, we try to find meaning in the wrong places. The meaning mistake. In the West, we're obsessed with finding our purpose or life calling. It's like we're all waiting for this lightning bolt moment where suddenly everything makes sense. Follow your passion. Find your purpose. Discover your why. I spent years jumping from job to job, relationship to relationship, even spiritual practice to spiritual practice, always searching for that perfect fit, that thing that would finally make me say, "This is it. This is what I was put on earth to do." Ring any bells? Here's the problem. Buddha would say we've got it backwards. The Dhammapada teaches us about the importance of putting our full attention and effort into our actions. But the key insight isn't finding the perfect work. It's giving your heart to whatever is in front of you. I learned this lesson in the most unexpected place, washing dishes. During a 10-day silent retreat, I was assigned to dish duty. 10 days of scrubbing other people's crusty plates in silence. Not exactly my idea of spiritual growth. By day 3, I was miserable. This is not why I came here. I thought I should be meditating, gaining insights, having breakthroughs, not washing dishes. On day 4, something weird happened. I fully gave up. I surrendered to the fact that for the next 6 days, I was just the dish guy. My spiritual resume would read, enlightenment seeker and part-time dishwasher. And in that surrender, the world tilted on its axis. I started really washing those dishes, feeling the warm water against my skin, noticing the rainbow patterns swirling in soap bubbles, hearing the soft clink of plates being stacked, feeling gratitude for the calloused hands that chopped and stirred and cooked the food, wishing well to the people who'd eaten from these plates, even the guy who somehow managed to get peanut butter on both sides. It wasn't a lightning bolt moment. It was quieter than that. But suddenly, washing dishes had meaning. Not because the task itself was important, but because I was fully present for it. The Buddha never said, "Find your purpose." He said, "Be fully present for your life as it unfolds." The Western obsession with finding that one perfect purpose keeps us always looking toward the future, missing the meaning that's available right now. This completely contradicts how most of us think about meaning and purpose. We think meaning comes from doing extraordinary things, starting a billion-dollar company, getting 1 million followers, having our face on a billboard. But what if the most meaningful life comes from bringing extraordinary presence to ordinary things? What if your morning commute, that boring team meeting, or folding laundry could be just as meaningful as summiting Everest? This leads us to the most counterintuitive truth of all, living without a point. What if I told you the most meaningful life might come from stopping the search for meaning entirely? Stay with me here. This is where things get weird and profound. Remember those moments when you were so absorbed in something, maybe playing music, or hiking in nature, or deep in conversation with a friend, that you completely forgot yourself? Time disappeared. Your problems vanished, and you were just there. Those moments of flow, of complete presence. That's what Buddhism is pointing toward. Not some grand purpose that makes your life significant in the cosmic scheme, but the simple miracle of being fully alive in this moment. Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh said, "The miracle is not to walk on water. The miracle is to walk on the green earth, dwelling deeply in the present moment and feeling truly alive." I had this experience last summer on a camping trip. I was sitting by the lake at sunset, just watching the colors change on the water. Nothing special. But suddenly, I wasn't watching the sunset. I was the sunset. The boundary between me and the world just dissolved. For those few minutes, there was no Matt trying to figure out the point of his life. There was just life happening. And it was enough. Buddhist teacher Jack Cornfield reminds us, the trouble is, you think you have time. We're constantly postponing our lives, waiting for meaning to arrive, waiting to figure it all out. But life is happening now, while we're making other plans. When we stop demanding that life have some grand purpose, something paradoxical happens. We find ourselves naturally drawn to what matters. We stop asking, what's the point? And start asking, what's needed here? How can I help? What wants to come through me? The Japanese concept of ikigai, your reason for being, isn't something you discover once and for all. It's something you practice daily through the way you engage with your ordinary life. This isn't giving up. It's not nihilism. It's actually the most engaged way to live. When we stop treating life like a problem to solve or a test to pass, we can finally show up for it fully. And that brings us to the ultimate plot twist in Buddha's teachings. The ultimate plot twist. So what is the meaning of life, according to Buddha? Ready for the plot twist. There isn't one fixed meaning. And that's actually the good news. In our video, Buddha's Emptiness Explained, we talked about how nothing has inherent, fixed meaning. And while that might sound depressing at first, it's actually incredibly liberating. Life doesn't come with meaning pre-installed. We create meaning through how we live, through our choices, our connections, our presence. Here's the radical truth Buddha was pointing to. Life isn't meaningful because of what we achieve or accumulate. It's meaningful because we are here to experience it, to taste it, to feel it, to connect through it. The meaning isn't in reaching nirvana someday. The meaning is in how you walk the path today. I remember asking my teacher, but what's the point if we're all just going to die anyway? She laughed and said, Matt, do you only eat pizza if it lasts forever? Do you refuse to watch Netflix because the series will eventually end? Do you avoid falling in love? Because all relationships change. Your question is like deleting Spotify because songs have endings. The point is, the experience itself, the taste, the sound, the feeling. The point is being fully here for whatever is happening, even if it's just washing those dishes we talked about earlier. Buddhism isn't about escaping life. It's about showing up for it completely. Pain, joy, boredom, excitement, all of it. It's about bringing your full attention to whatever is happening right now. The Four Noble Truths aren't a pessimistic declaration that life is suffering. They're a realistic acknowledgement that life contains suffering, and a practical path to transforming our relationship with that suffering. The meaning of life isn't something to figure out intellectually. It's something to embody through how we live. So if you're still wondering what the point of life is, maybe try asking a different question. Instead of what's the point, ask what's possible right now. How can I be fully here for this one precious moment that will never come again? Because that's what Buddha was really pointing to. Not some distant enlightenment, but the immediate freedom available when we stop chasing, stop resisting, and simply show up for our lives as they are. That's the ultimate meaning. Not something we find, but something we create, moment by moment, through the quality of our attention and the openness of our hearts. For me, that means spending less time doom scrolling and more time actually looking into the eyes of people I'm talking to. It means tasting my food instead of inhaling it while watching YouTube. It means feeling the sun on my skin and remembering that someday, this ordinary Tuesday, might be the day I look back on and think, that was life. That was it. Picture yourself, years from now, looking back at this moment, not at your achievements or possessions, but at how fully you lived each ordinary day. The mornings you noticed the steam rising from your coffee cup, the times you really listened to a friend instead of planning what to say next, the walks where you felt your feet touching the earth. That's the real miracle, not escaping life, but being fully here for it. If this perspective resonates with you, hit that subscribe button to continue exploring Buddha's wisdom with us. Drop a comment sharing how you find meaning in your daily life. And remember, the point of life isn't to avoid suffering. It's to be fully alive in each moment, whatever that moment brings. Until next time, this is Matt from Buddha's Wisdom, wishing you a life of meaning. Not because it's significant in some cosmic way, but because you're fully present for it.